The health inspector's face went from professional curiosity to visible disgust in about 15 seconds. "Ma'am, when was the last time this kitchen was actually inspected?" he asked, photographing what appeared to be a 3-month-old grease buildup behind the commercial range. Across the table, Scarlett Pennington Price went from bright red fury to bone-white terror as she watched her precious Clubhouse restaurant get condemned in real time. Just 6 hours earlier, this woman had threatened to have my food truck impounded and my business license revoked for parking my ISO commercial vehicle in my own driveway. What she didn't know was that I wasn't just some random food truck owner trying to make a living. I was a classically trained chef who'd spent 15 years working health inspections in 3 different states before starting my own business. And her little kingdom of violations was about to crumble. If you've ever dealt with an HOA Karen who thought rules applied to everyone except her, you're going to love this. Drop a comment with your location, because I need to know if restaurant running HOAs are ruining neighborhoods where you're watching from. My name is Marcus Steele, and 3 months ago, I made what I thought was a smart move buying a house in Riverside Meadows, a middle-class suburb outside Austin, Texas, specifically because the HOA rules allowed home-based businesses. I checked everything, read every bylaw, confirmed with the management company that my food truck operation was perfectly compliant. What I didn't check was whether the HOA president was a control freak with her own illegal restaurant operation to protect. Let me paint you the picture. After 15 years as a health inspector in Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio, I'd saved enough to start my dream a gourmet taco truck called Steele's Street Eats. I wasn't trying to compete with Tex-Mex joints. I was doing elevated cuisine, Korean barbecue short rib tacos with kimchi aioli, blackened mahi with mango habanero salsa, duck confit with cherry gastrique. My truck was pristine, a custom-built beauty with commercial-grade equipment, 3-compartment sinks, proper refrigeration, grease trap, fire suppression system, the works. Every inspection passed with flying colors because I knew exactly what inspectors looked for. I'd been on the other side of that clipboard for too long not to do this right. I'd chosen Riverside Meadows specifically because the CCNRS explicitly allowed home-based commercial activities that do not create excessive traffic or noise disturbance. My truck stayed parked in my driveway between events. No customers came to my house. No noise beyond normal residential activity. I was the model of HOA compliance. The first 2 months were perfect. Neighbors loved seeing my truck, asked about my weekend locations, even requested I cater their parties. My business was growing farmers markets, corporate events, food truck rallies. I was pulling in $8,000 a week during peak season, finally living the chef entrepreneur dream. Then Scarlett Pennington Price noticed me. She arrived on a Tuesday morning while I was detailing my truck before a big corporate catering gig. I heard the aggressive click of expensive heels on my driveway before I saw her. Scarlett was impossible to miss. Mid-50s, with elaborately curled blonde hair that probably required weekly salon visits to maintain those perfect spirals. She wore a bright red blazer over a white silk blouse, that aggressive shade of red that screams, "I demand to speak to your manager." Designer jeans that had never seen actual work, and heels completely impractical for walking on gravel driveways. Her jewelry alone probably cost more than my truck's down payment thick gold necklace. Matching bracelet, rings on 3 fingers, including a diamond that could double as a weapon. Everything about her screamed, money plus entitlement equals your problem. "You must be the new food truck person," she said, somehow making food truck person sound like an insult. She didn't introduce herself, just stood there with arms crossed, tapping one manicured nail against her red blazer sleeve. I set down my cleaning supplies and wiped my hands. "Marcus Steele. And you are?" "Scarlett Pennington Price, HOA president," She produced a leather portfolio from her designer handbag. "We need to discuss your vehicle situation." The way she said vehicle suggested I was parking a septic truck, not a $95,000 custom food service unit. "My truck complies with all HOA regulations," I said calmly. "I verified before purchasing my home. Home-based businesses are explicitly permitted under Section 7.3 of the CC&Rs. Her smile was pure ice. Section 7.3 refers to home offices and consulting businesses, not commercial vehicles. Your truck is an eyesore affecting community property values and constitutes a commercial vehicle violation under Section 12.8. I'd read Section 12.8 multiple times. It prohibited commercial vehicles over 26,000 pounds and semi-truck parking. My truck weighed 14,000 pounds fully loaded. Section 12.8 doesn't apply to my truck, I explained, keeping my voice professional. It's under the weight limit and qualifies as a specialty vehicle under Texas Commercial Code. Scarlett's jaw tightened. She wasn't used to being contradicted with actual facts. "Regardless," she continued, "multiple neighbors have complained about noise, odors, and traffic from your ... operation. The board is requiring immediate relocation of the vehicle to approved commercial storage." That was a lie. I talked to my immediate neighbors. They were supportive, but challenging her would require proof I didn't have yet. "I'll need those complaints in writing," I said, "with names and dates. For my records." Her expression went from ice to volcanic. "Mr. Steele, I don't think you understand how things work here. The board has voted. You have 72 hours to remove the truck or face daily fines of $200. After 30 days, we'll have it towed and place a lien on your property." She handed me an official-looking violation notice, already printed with my name and address. They'd come prepared to cite me before even hearing my side. "One more thing," she said, turning back with a rehearsed smile. "If you're interested in continuing your culinary endeavors, the Clubhouse restaurant is always looking for experienced help. I'm sure we could find a place for someone with your ... talents, assuming you can follow directions better than you follow HOA rules." Then she walked away, heels clicking like gunfire on my driveway. I stood there holding her bogus violation notice, my health inspector brain already analyzing what I'd just heard. Clubhouse restaurant. Looking for help. The pieces started connecting in a way that made my professional instincts tingle. That afternoon, I drove to the Riverside Meadows Clubhouse for the first time since moving in. I'd been too busy with the business to explore community amenities. Now I wished I'd investigated sooner. The clubhouse was impressive, a 4,000-square-foot building with pool, gym, meeting rooms, and occupying the entire ground floor, a full-service restaurant called the Meadows Bistro. Through the windows, I could see white tablecloths, a full bar, and a menu board advertising dinner service, Tuesday through Sunday, 5 to 10 p.m., brunch on weekends, private event catering available. This wasn't a community snack bar. This was a commercial restaurant operation. My health inspector alarm bells were screaming. I walked inside, noting the "Open to the public" sign on the door. Not members only. Open to anyone. The hostess greeted me with a smile. "Table for one?" "Just checking out the menu," I said, grabbing one from the stand. Entrees ranged from $24 to $38. Full bar with craft cocktails. Weekly wine tastings. The place was doing serious business volume. I pulled out my phone and started researching. Texas Health and Safety Code requires all food service establishments to display their health permits prominently. I scanned the walls. Nothing. No permit, no inspection grade, no food handler certificates. That was violation number 1. I ordered coffee and sat near the kitchen, watching operations through the service window. The line cook wasn't wearing gloves. The prep area showed cross-contamination, Risks raw chicken on the same surface as vegetables with no sanitizing between tasks. The dish pit looked like it hadn't been properly cleaned in weeks. My 15 years of experience counted dozens of violations in 20 minutes of observation. Back home, I started pulling public records. The Meadows Bistro had no business license with the city, no food service permit with the county health department, no liquor license despite serving alcohol, no fire inspection certificate despite commercial cooking equipment. Scarlett Pennington Price was running a completely illegal restaurant operation while threatening to destroy my fully licensed, perfectly legal food truck business. The irony was delicious. Day 2 of the 72-hour deadline brought more harassment. At 7 a.m., someone placed a violation sticker on my truck's windshield, a big orange notice declaring it an unauthorized commercial vehicle that made it look like it was illegally parked. My neighbors started receiving anonymous letters about how food trucks decrease property values and attract vermin. The letters included grainy photos of my truck with circles and arrows like it was a crime scene. That evening, Scarlett called an emergency HOA board meeting to discuss the commercial vehicle crisis. I showed up with my documentation purchase contract, CC&R excerpts, legal opinion from a property attorney, and photos proving my truck's compliance with all dimensional and weight requirements. The meeting was in the Clubhouse, naturally, with the Meadows Bistro serving appetizers. I watched Scarlett and 4 board members eating catered food from an unlicensed kitchen while preparing to financially destroy my licensed operation. Scarlett ran the meeting like a show trial. She presented a slideshow with photos of my truck from unflattering angles, fake traffic studies, and testimonials from concerned neighbors whose faces were conveniently blurred for privacy. Mr. Steele's commercial operation presents safety hazards, traffic concerns, and aesthetic degradation, she announced to the 20 residents in attendance. The board has unanimously voted to classify food trucks as prohibited commercial vehicles under emergency powers. Emergency powers that don't exist in the bylaws, I countered, standing up. And my truck has been in compliance since day 1. You're changing rules retroactively to target a specific homeowner, which is selective enforcement and illegal under Texas Property Code. Several residents nodded. They smelled the setup too. Scarlett's face went that furious shade of red that matched her blazer. Mr. Steele, your attitude demonstrates exactly why these rules are necessary. The board's decision is final. Remove the truck or face penalties. I played my first card. Speaking of rules, I noticed the Meadows Bistro doesn't display any health permits. That's required by state law for all food service establishments. Has this facility ever been inspected? The room went silent. Several board members shifted uncomfortably. The Clubhouse restaurant is a private amenity, not a commercial establishment, Scarlett said quickly. Health codes don't apply to residential community facilities. Actually, I replied, they do, especially when you're serving the public and generating revenue. Texas Health and Safety Code Section 437 covers any food service operation regardless of profit status. You need permits, inspections, and licensed food handlers. Scarlett slammed her gavel. This meeting is about your violations, not baseless accusations about our community amenities. The board's ruling stands. Meeting adjourned. But the seed was planted. Several residents approached me afterward, asking questions about the restaurant's legal status. One woman mentioned getting food poisoning after a Clubhouse event. Another noted the kitchen staff never wore gloves. That night, I made a decision. If Scarlett wanted war, I'd give her war. But I'd fight with facts, documentation, and the same regulatory framework I'd spent 15 years enforcing. The next morning, I called my old colleague Maria Santos at the Travis County Health Department. We'd worked together for 6 years before I left for my food truck dreams. Maria, hypothetically, if someone reported a restaurant operating without permits, how would you handle it? Anonymous tip? She asked. We'd investigate within 48 hours. Why? What did you find? I told her everything. The commercial operation, the public service, the lack of permits, the violations I'd observed. Send me the address, she said. Anonymously, of course. I'll have an inspector out there tomorrow. I drafted the most detailed complaint report I'd ever written. Every violation documented with photos, timestamps, and specific code citations. The commercial revenue stream. The public advertising. The health risks I'd observed. I filed it anonymously through the county website at 2 a.m. By 10 a.m. the next morning, Inspector James Rodriguez was at the Meadows Bistro, surprising them during lunch service. I watched from my truck, parked at my house with a perfect view of the clubhouse. Scarlett's red Range Rover screeched into the parking lot 30 minutes into the inspection. She ran inside, curly blonde hair bouncing, probably ready to throw her weight around. It wouldn't work. Rodriguez was one of the toughest inspectors in the county. I'd worked cases with him. He didn't care about status, money, or intimidation. He cared about food safety. The inspection took 3 hours. I watched Scarlett's body language transform from entitled fury to nervous panic to complete devastation. Board members arrived. Phone calls were made. But Rodriguez kept working, photographing, documenting, writing citations. When he finally left, he was carrying evidence bags and had posted a bright orange closed by health department notice on the door. Scarlett stood in the parking lot, looking like her world had ended. The inspection report was public record. I obtained it the next day. 47 violations. 17 critical, meaning immediate health hazards. The list was devastating. No food service permit, no certified food manager on site. No employee health policies. Improper food storage temperatures. Danger zone violations. Cross-contamination throughout prep areas. No proper sanitization procedures. Grease trap not maintained. Fire hazard. Pest evidence in storage areas. Expired food products in use. No proper hand washing facilities. Staff not trained in food safety. Raw sewage backup in kitchen floor drain. And the kicker. Evidence suggesting the operation had been running for 3 years without a single inspection. The county health department issued a formal closure order. The Meadows Bistro couldn't reopen until every violation was corrected, proper permits obtained, staff trained, and a follow-up inspection passed. Cost to remediate. Estimated $150,000, $200,000. That evening, my doorbell rang. Scarlett stood on my porch, looking diminished without her usual armor of jewelry and attitude. Her red blazer looked wilted. Her curl blonde hair was less perfect. Her eyes were red from crying. You did this, she said. Not an accusation. A statement of fact. I filed a complaint about an unlicensed restaurant serving the public, I replied. The health department did their job. That's how the system works. You've ruined me, she whispered. The board is demanding my resignation. Homeowners are threatening lawsuits. My restaurant is closed indefinitely. It was never your restaurant, I said. It was an illegal operation putting the entire community at legal risk. What if someone had gotten seriously sick? What if there had been a fire from that grease trap? You weren't just breaking rules, you were endangering people. She had no answer to that. The truck stays, I said. All harassment stops. And you resign from the HOA board. Those are my terms for not pursuing civil action against you personally for targeted harassment. Scarlett nodded slowly. The board meeting is tomorrow night. I'll resign. She walked back to her Range Rover, no longer clicking her heels with authority, just shuffling like someone who'd finally been held accountable. Scarlett resigned at the next board meeting. 3 board members who'd supported her harassment campaign resigned with her, knowing their involvement was documented. The new board immediately rescinded all violations against my truck, issued a formal apology, and updated the CC&RS to explicitly protect home-based food service businesses. The Meadows Bistro remained closed for 4 months. When it finally reopened, it was under new management, properly licensed, and operating within all health codes. The new operators even hired me to consult on their kitchen setup. I made sure everything was perfect. Several residents thanked me privately for exposing the violations. The woman who'd gotten food poisoning filed a lawsuit against the HOA for negligent operation. She won a substantial settlement. My food truck business thrived. The publicity from the HOA drama actually helped local news covered the story, and suddenly everyone wanted to try the food from that truck the HOA tried to ban. My weekly revenue doubled. I still live in Riverside Meadows. My truck still parks in my driveway. And every time I drive past the Clubhouse, I see the prominently displayed health permit with an A rating. Your HOA Karen thinks rules apply to everyone except her. She weaponized regulations against you while running her own illegal operations. But here's what they never count on. Some people actually know the rules better than they do. Scarlett spent 3 years running an illegal restaurant while pretending to enforce community standards. She targeted my legal business because it threatened to expose her illegal one. Classic projection: accuse others of what you're guilty of. But expertise matters. My 15 years as a health inspector meant I recognized violations she didn't even know existed. I knew exactly how to document, report, and ensure accountability. Knowledge isn't just power. Knowledge backed by documentation and regulatory authority is unstoppable. Have you dealt with an HOA hypocrite who broke the same rules they enforced against others? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might help another viewer fight back against selective enforcement. Hit that subscribe button for more stories about ordinary people who turned out to have extraordinary expertise when the bullies came calling.